All right, good day. Greetings. Here we'll be talking about language and language skill. We are still under the issue of effective communication. So this is effective communication part two. Yes, effective communication part two. So because now let's quickly check what is language. Okay, language is a structured communication system. Can you see that? Language is a structured communication system. My name is Adeoye, and I want to believe that uh, you have been enjoying the class. All right. So language and language skill is what we are checking under this aspect of effective communication. Now, language, we said, is what? A structured communication system. It is a system, it uses symbols, sounds, and gestures. Language skills enable effective communication. So let's travel further. Actually, there are four core language skills. Okay, there are four core language skills, and they are split into two. We have the receptive skills and the productive or expressive skills. Okay, under the receptive skills, we have the listening, that is understanding spoken words, and we have the reading, understanding reading text. So you receive, that's receptive, you receive the information. Don't forget that communication is exchange of information. So for you, for the receptive side, for you to receive information, you engage listening, you engage reading. So listening has to do with spoken words, verbal, and reading has to do with what? Non-verbal. Can you get that? Thank God. Good. So let's go to the other one, which is what? Productive or expressive skill. Now this has to do with what? Being expressive. Okay. Now the information exchange. Now going out. Now we have speaking skill, which is expressing thought through speech. That's through verbal communication. And then writing, which is the other skill under productive or expressive skill. Writing, conveying idea in written form. So this is expressing information in non-verbal form. All right. So let's move forward. Okay. Here we can see um, listening skill. As we said earlier, is a receptive skill, which is understanding spoken language. What exactly is listening skill or listening? Listening is the ability to understand spoken language in various contexts. It involves processing sound, identifying words, and interpreting meaning. Are you getting it now? So the ability to be able to understand spoken language, yes, is listening. Listening is different from hearing. Yes, they are very related, very related. But hearing, anybody can hear. That's if the ear lobes are working well and the sensory organs are properly working. But there beyond just hearing, there is what we call a skill. Okay, like so people can talk, but speaking is a skill. Okay, listening is a skill on its own. You must there have the ability to what? Listen. You must have is a skill on its own. So as a script writer, as an editor, as a director, as an actor, our listening skills must be very what? Strong. We must be able to work on it because it's very good to listen. Very good to listen. Yes, it helps a lot. So now, what are the types of listening skills? Number one, discriminative listening. Discriminative listening helps in identifying different sounds, tone, accents. All right, you're able to differentiate between a question and a statement based on intonation. For some time, sometimes somebody will say something and it will sound like a statement. The same thing the person is saying, if you listen to it carefully, you find out that this person is not just making a statement; he's asking a question, and that has to do with some. If it is written, there will be punctuation that are associated with it. But here you can see sound, tone, accent. There is a way and manner you speak. You remember in the verbal communication, we were talking about pitch and tone. Okay, there's a way, there's a manner with which somebody will speak. You'll be able to denote, you'll be able to know that there's something wrong or there's something fishy about what this person is saying. That has to do with your discriminative word listening, your ability to uh, decipher, to know what is actually fishy. Okay, for example, somebody says, I am a teacher. Okay, I am a teacher. That's a statement. But when the person say, I am a teacher, like I'm a teacher, it looks like a statement, but no. The tone, the rise in tone at that end part shows that he's asking a question, not making a statement. He's not making a statement, he's asking a question. So you must be able to listen in that regard. Then there's another kind of listening which is called we call comprehensive listening. Okay, you are not just listening for just some tone and accent. You listen to check meanings of words. What exactly is this person trying to say? What is this person trying to say? Okay, so words does not just fly. Okay, like when a student is listening to a teacher, you know, that's an example. Okay, during a lesson, just like you are listening to me now, I want to believe you are having a comprehensive listening. When we say comprehensive, it's from the word comprehension. And when we say to comprehend, is to understand. Do you understand? Applying understanding to whatever words is being spoken or phrases that are being engaged. All right, so let's go to the next kind of listening. We are critical listening. This critical listening has to do with evaluating and analyzing information while listening. These have to do, or this is operational when you're having some argument, or you're having a debate, or you are trying to form an opinion. You are listening critically. For example, you want to buy a product, and you are listening to check and evaluate your thoughts and your desire, your pocket, to check whether, okay, will you be able to go for this thing with what this person is saying? Can I agree to do this kind of thing? All of those kind of things, because it has to do with your what, it carries more weight. Or maybe you want to debunk an idea. You want to show that no, 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 this thing is not correct. Okay, but you need to first of all listen to it to be sure that, okay, what you want to say is not going to look stupid. Okay, so there is critical listening. Okay, it has to do with evaluating and analyzing information while you are listening. Then the other aspect of listening is appreciative listening. Just like when you watch a movie, when you are listening to a story, when you're playing music, when you're listening to spoken poem, I mean, and all of those things, that's appreciative listening. This is what we do uh, most times. Some of us just go on Facebook, social media, and just go and do appreciative listening. We are not listening because we want to uh, be critical or analyze, or want to understand. We just want to listen for enjoyment, for pleasure. And some of us can do that. Only God knows how many hours of the day we do that. All right, so let's go to selective listening. Okay, selective listening have to do with focusing on key information while ignoring distractions. Yes, this happens especially in the marketplace, or even as you are seated there. You are doing what you are doing right now is selective listening, because I'm sure there are certain other sounds you are hearing, certain other things you are listening to. I mean, that is coming to your hearing, but you are not paying attention to them. Why? Because you are selective. This is what you want to pay attention to at this time. For example, you're in a marketplace and everybody is making noise. Come and buy my rice, come and buy my beans, come and buy my, you know. But you are not going to get carried away with all of those noise. You are selective. You are going to pay attention to the person you are having conversation in order to make your decision of what to purchase. All right, and that is selective listening. We can engage all of this even in our scripting, in our editing, in our directing, and all of that. It helps a great length. Thank you. Let's move to the next thing. Speaking skill. Yeah, speaking skill is is a very, very essential skill. Of course, it's one of the productive or expressive skill where you express your thoughts verbally. All right, you use words. I mean, speak them out so that somebody can hear you and relate. So it involves pronunciation, it involves fluency, it involves engaging grammar and vocabularies. Yeah. So what are the types of speaking skills we have? We have conversational skills. All right. This has to do with engaging in day-to-day discussion, normal friend to friend talk. You understand? All those chit chat we have with our friends, you just speak, do you know Mama Lakwaja did something? I just, normal conversation. Yes, that is conversational speaking. Then we move to a higher one, which is what? Public speaking. This one you have to be deliberate to sit down, work on a structured speech or presentation if need be. Work on your PPT, your PowerPoint, and a lot of other things. Or you prepare materials like PDF documents that you can share so that people can also travel along with you. So you do this possibly, like example, giving a speech at a conference. You don't just talk, you must be careful to talk at this point. For conversational speaking, you can just talk and say so many things and all of that, and you won't be afraid that somebody is going to hold your words against you. But in speaking, public speaking, you know that you have to be careful because you are talking to some learned persons or some important people that needs to hear your important words. All right. Then we have the persuasive speaking. These have to do with influencing others with argument and reasoning. Persuasive speaking most times comes when we are kind of having a kind of argument, a kind of debate. Sometimes it could also appear like a kind of preaching. Yes, where you are trying to convince somebody to accept Jesus. That kind of persuasive. You're trying to appeal to the conscience of the person to be able to agree with you that your own opinion supersedes his own, and he needs to shift his base from whatever he believes to what you believe. All right, that's persuasive speaking. Then we talk about narrative speaking. Narrative speaking, this is when you begin to tell stories or you're trying to describe an experience. You went to somewhere, or you are trying to tell your children how you spent your childhood and all of those things. That's narrative. In our productions, we have narrator and all of that. That's narrative speaking. Okay, so let's move on to impromptu speaking. Yes, there are certain uh, speakings that are spontaneous that you don't prepare for. All right, not because you cannot prepare for it, but because of situations around you. Okay, certain questions that just pop up. For example, answering a surprise question in an interview. They just ask you one kind of question during an interview session. You may not have time to go and check textbooks or books, and you have to respond. All right, that is impromptu. Okay, here we're going to be talking about reading skill. Reading skill. This is a receptive skill. Okay, this has to do with reception, uh, understanding written language. So reading is the ability to decode, comprehend, and interpret written text. It requires an understanding of vocabulary, grammar, and context. Okay, so you must be able to decode what has been encoded by the sender, all right, through a written text. So you must be able to interpret written text or comprehend. So let's quickly talk about okay, it requires an understanding of vocabulary, grammar, and context. You must understand the choice of words used. You must understand the construction of the statements. You must also be able to comprehend or understand the context with which the person is speaking from. Okay, somebody can say something and the context with which he's speaking may be different from the context with which you think the person is speaking from. So that also plays roles in understanding or your reading skill. Now let's quickly talk about types of reading skill. Number one, skimming. Skimming have to do with just quickly reading to generate a general idea, just a general idea. Okay, you're not reading like you want seriously. You just like headline news, for example, looking over a news paper headline. Do you understand? Then the other one is scanning. Okay, searching for specific information in a text. You're just trying to check for an information and then this thing. So that's scanning. Like for example, you are looking for a date in an article. Okay, so you just scan through and all of that. Good. But there's one we call intensive reading. Okay, intensive reading is reading carefully for detailed understanding. Reading carefully for what? Detailed understanding. For example, studying a textbook for an exam. You can understand that. Ha, is intensive. Okay, you read seriously to get detailed understanding. Good. But there is one we call extensive. So that one is just reading for pleasure and broad knowledge. You know, you read anything, you read whatever comes your way. That is extensive reading. You read more papers, more listen, so that you can broaden your knowledge on the particular field of study or something. That is what extensive reading. Then we have critical reading. You know, critical reading has to do with analyzing a text meaning, argument, and implication. So, for example, when you are evaluating an editorial article, okay, or you are trying to write a literary appreciation of a particular prose work, drama text, or poetry, okay, and all of that. So that's critical reading. Thank you. Let's go to the next. Okay, we're going to read writing skill. Writing skill. Writing skill is productive, expressive skill. Is a productive or expressive skill. Okay, and this has to do with communicating through written text. This is like a kind of non-verbal communication, but is you have to write. So what is writing? Writing is the ability to express thoughts, ideas, and emotion in written form. It requires organization, clarity, and proper grammar. So, what are the types of writing? Let's quickly pick that. Number one, we have descriptive writing, where you write creating vivid image using words. You try to describe some things using words, maybe a place, like you want to describe redemption camp for somebody, the way you like example, writing a travel blog, you traveled to maybe somewhere as far as Borno State, inside Malafatori, or Askura Uba. uh you get to tell us how you were able to see desert places, mountainous, and all of that, those hilly places and all of that. Yes. um, um, Damboa, Chibok, and all of those places, you put them, maybe the Boko Haram experience, you're trying to describe all of that. Then we have the other part one, which is narrative writing. This is telling a story with a plot. Okay, like our scripting. For example, when you are trying to write a prose work, a short story, you know, a narrative one, that's a narrative writing. We have expository writing, which is providing information or explaining concepts. For example, like this, my slides looks expository, kind of, you know, it's expository because it's providing information or explaining what concept. So writing a report or a how-to guide, that's an expository writing. Then we have persuasive writing. Okay, persuasive writing is convincing readers using argument and evidence. Okay, so there are many of such in paper works, there are many of such in newspaper, magazines, and all of that. So persuasive, just like even our tracts, some of them are kind of persuasive writing. Some of our books, Christian novels, Christian books, some of them are persuasive to convince reader that they need to live a life that is pleasing to God and all of that. Persuasive. Creative writing, well, that has to do with our film scripts, our drama text, our poetry, our fictional novels, and all of that. So it is using imagination to create original content. All right, thank you very much. So let's move on from here. So we have spoken language. you know, we talked about verbal communication. Don't forget verbal communication and non-verbal. So for verbal communication, we have spoken language. Okay, we don't forget we are talking about language and language skill. So we have spoken language. Now this language, spoken language includes tone, pitch, and pronunciation. Do you remember we talked about that in the other um, class? Okay, so verbal communication used in conversation and speeches. Then another spoken language is what? Song. When you are trying to sing, we tell you that music is a universal language. It's a universal language where you express ideas through melody and and, and lyrics. Okay, you express ideas through melody and what and lyrics. So that is spoken language. Okay, let's go to the next. So here we're talking about the written language. The written language documentation uses written language. It requires grammar, punctuation, and vocabulary. So it's essential to know that, okay, when you are um, engaging the written language, you will need to use grammar, punctuation, and your choice of words, vocabulary. Okay, so and you should know that documentation is a non-verbal communication. Your grammar is about using the grammar rules. Singular noun will go with singular verb. Plural noun will go with plural verb. All of those concord rules and all of that. Vocabulary have to do with your required knowledge of words. Uh, how many words do you know that you can relate with? I hope you know your ability to know that, okay, there are certain words that will not go with certain interaction, yes, and all of that. That's a vocabulary. Thank you. Let's move to the next one. Yeah, we're talking about sign language. Sign language is used by hearing impaired. Okay, those that cannot hear, or possibly those that cannot speak. They need to give sign to be able to show that this is what they are communicating or they want to. You may need to also use that to interact. It uses hand gestures and facial expression. So hand gestures, facial expression, body language are used during sign language. So some of us, when we are writing our script, we may need to be deliberate to put some of these things into consideration, so that we can also communicate with some of the people that are just watching our movies and they cannot hear, but they can see what we are showing them. So the sign language can also uh, be part of it. God will help us in Jesus' name. All right, let's move to the next. Body language. See, body language is also a language. It is a non-verbal communication conveying messages without words. It includes gestures and postures, facial expressions, gesticulations, attitudes, hand movement, all of that. So it's essential we also put that into consideration that yes, it's also a language. So we have spoken language, written language, sign language, body language. That's four already. Okay, let's move on to the next. I hope you are getting it. Aha, please get it. All right, let's move it. Okay, here we're going to be talking about language, levels of language proficiency. Yes, as a beginner, you know basic words, that's number four. Basic words and phrases, like a baby that is trying to learn new words. I mean, learn how to speak. Just try to learn baba, mama, papa. You know, begins to learn words one after the other. Like some of us, uh, just some small word. Want to learn Hausa, and some of us, maybe one of the words that is common is gaskiya and gaskiya. Then you don't know any other word again. Then maybe another time you learn Sianjuma. I don't know if I'm correct. Sianjuma. Just picking basic words or phrase. Just to be able to interact. That's for beginner. Okay. Then when we go to intermediate, you can now form sentences, but with some small mistakes. Okay. For example, come and eat. You know, please come and eat. If the person is a lady, you say zo ki zo kichi abunchi. Uh, zo kichi abunchi. If it's a male, it's also catchy abunchi. Please come and eat. You know, I'm also a learner in Hausa. So, all right. So, but that's the reality. You see that you begin to struggle to pick some words together to form a sentence. That's intermediate. When you have gone advanced is when you speak fluently. Okay, just like when I can speak Yoruba fluently. and I think manageably I can speak English fluently. Yes, I can speak English fluently with minor errors. You understand? So when you're speaking, people know, oh, this, oh, you can speak, oh, good, and you speak. All right. Then the last level of proficiency is native speaking or fluent, of being fluent. So you use language effortlessly. I mean, you're not struggling to speak. You know what you're talking about. And so uh, nobody is going to easily be able to fault your speaking. Yeah, at that point, you have arrived at the native or fluent point of using the language effortlessly. All right, it's essential because when we're working on our movies, we can also put all of this into play. For example, somebody that just arrived at a particular environment, is trying to learn the language. We must be able to make the person travel through all this cadre so that we'll be able to paint reality and some other things, some other things that are associated with this. Thank you very much. So I think we're coming to the end of this topic gradually. So what's our takeaway from this class? Okay. Language skills are essential for effective communication. They include listening, reading, speaking, and writing. So these are the four core skills: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Now there are three major types. Of course, we talked more than three. We have spoken, written, and sign language. We can also add body language and all of that. Then we talked about proficiency level. We talked about from beginner to native speaker. So on this note, I think we can call it a day. Thank you very much for joining this class. Um, please make sure you watch the other videos. Thank you. God bless you.